The Bloc Québécois, let's talk about that party now. It believes it's back in the game in a serious way in the province of Quebec in this election. Its new leader, Yves-François Blanchet, is a former Quebec environment minister and a former entertainment industry executive. After several years of slumping poll numbers, infighting, and changes in leadership, the current Bloc leader has boosted fundraising and membership levels and worked to make the Bloc relevant again. Will his efforts pay off in this election? Let's find out what he thinks. I caught up with him as he got ready for the writ drop. Let's show you my conversation with Yves-François Blanchet. Yves-François Blanchet, first of all, it's good to speak with you again. Thanks for taking time to speak with me.
It's always a pleasure.
What are your expectations for the Bloc Québécois in this election?
If we speak about numbers, my expectation is to go over 20 MPs elected on October 21st. But my real expectation is to convey a message to all Quebecers that we are the main, if not the only voice that will speak only for them in the House of Commons in Ottawa. It doesn't mean that we are against whatever else, though sometimes we are. We are against the quite odious exploitation of tar sands in Alberta. But if we have some points on which we agree with whoever in Canada, we will work with those people, but always and only if it does serve the interests of Quebec.
Okay, I want to come back to some of those numbers you talked about, but let me go to this. You have a new campaign slogan, Le Québec c'est nous.
Yes.
Quebec it's us. Why did you pick that slogan, and what does it mean?
It means that everybody that lives in Quebec has a right to be represented for what are the interests of Quebec. It is a very, how shall I put it? It's a way to tell everybody in our territory that we are their voice. And it's a way to say that we are the only ones that convey some messages about secularity of the states, about gestion de l'offre, which I don't know how to translate.
Yeah.
About
supply management. Yeah.
The quite odious treatment that has been reserved to Davy shipyards. Many cases, the situations of the French language in Ottawa, and many cases in which only the Bloc Québécois will carry the message that serves Quebec as a nation, and this nation includes everybody that lives in Quebec.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I think for some people it might raise the notion of identity politics, that if you don't support the objectives of the Bloc and some of the policies of the Bloc, then you're not a real Quebecer. How do you answer those concerns?
I will not answer the concerns on the way they would be defined by adversaries. We will convey our message, and some people will try to do or say or have it say the opposite of what it says actually. You know, a slogan is made to include, is made to convey a message, is made to suscitate attention and interest for what we are and what we say and what we propose. So we are not in the us against them thing. This is not our business.
Okay, let me ask you about the debate over Quebec's bill banning face coverings. Do you expect that will be a major part of the campaign in Quebec? And what will, if it is, what will your message be to other federal leaders?
This is a decision that has to be made in Quebec by the government of Quebec, by Quebecers, and this is not a decision that has to be made by Ottawa. And we would not accept that Ottawa would take our own money to fight a law which has been adopted largely in the Assemblée nationale du Québec. So our message is, about secularity of the state. Mind your own business.
Right. So if there's any notion that other federal leaders might want to take the Quebec government to court over this, you're telling them to butt out.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
If there's some discussion about whether or not other leaders would be interested in taking Quebec to court over this, you're telling them they should butt out. They should leave it alone.
Yeah, it would be quite terrible to take our own money to fight our own law. And, what they want to do is to get some points in Canada taking a position against what Quebec wants. But we do believe that for everything that is about language, culture, values, Quebec nation has the right to take its own positions and we do not believe that Canada should come and interfere against what we want with our own taxes and our own money.
You've said you want to win a minimum of 20 seats. That's what you think you need to really make a statement in this election. You have 8 seats in the House of Commons now. What if you end up with less than 20 seats? Will that mean that the campaign was a failure?
It would mean that actually we have 10 seats in the House of Commons, and every one of them, every former MP, actual MP is coming back again as a candidate. It wouldn't mean that it is a failure. I would not be as happy under 20 as I would be over 20. But during this campaign, gaining 1, 2, or 3 points might make a very important difference in the result of the election on October 21st.
And thank you for correcting me. It is 10 seats in the House of Commons. My mistake, not 8 seats. If you do hold the balance of power after this election, how would you use that balance of power? What will guide you in how you approach proposals being made by whoever forms government?
We would vote for or against specific projects according to how well they serve Quebec interests. We would not support a government as an institution or a party as an institution. Each time somebody will bring something on the floor of the Parliament, we would take it into consideration and we will support or ask changes to those projects according to how well they serve Quebec interests.
What do you think should be the #1 issue for Quebecers in this campaign?
I believe it is environment. I believe that the Canadian model, which is based on oil, is not good for Quebec. Quebec is one of the 2 states in the world that uses more renewable energy than oil, and we should have our own model of economic development based on an ecological model of creating richesse. I'm not sure about the word.
Yeah.
Making us prosperous our own way, which is a cleaner way, which is a different way. It's based on our capacity in innovation, our expertise, our resources in Quebec regions, our ability to work with those small and average enterprises. That is a specificity of Quebec. We should not be supporting against our will the oil of Alberta or Western Canada.
Okay. How strong do you believe the sovereignist sentiment is these days in the province of Quebec? We keep hearing that Quebecers have moved on from this debate. I'm sure we'll hear something about it in the election campaign. But what do you see about the level of interest in the province of Quebec in the objective of sovereignty?
I am taking the occasion to tell in English to my adversaries that I challenge them to speak about independence. Actually, in Quebec, about 1/3 of Quebecers still support the idea. I don't know from where does come this idea of people have moved on to something else, because there's still 1/3 of us that wants that to happen, even if we haven't had many discussions about that in the recent years. So if somebody wants to speak about independence, it will be us. And if somebody wants to discuss that or challenge me on independence, I will be there to meet them.
Yves-François Blanchet, always good to talk to you. Thanks for your time today.
Been a pleasure.